Hi, I'm so glad that you're here. My name's Josh, and I'm going to introduce you to San Diego's mental health systems of care. I'm originally from South Africa, but now living a version of the American dream here in San Diego with you guys. But it certainly had its nightmare components too, and I've had to navigate this mental health system myself personally because of my bipolar 1 diagnosis, and now professionally with my work in the mental health field for the last 15 years. And what I've come to realize is that we live in a good city for mental health with a ton of beautiful support. I've actually been psychiatrically hospitalized and connected with mental health systems of care in 3 cities and 2 states. And San Diego has by far the best system of care that I've found. This city cares. And this video is brought to you by 2 organizations of people who care. Firstly, the San Diego Public Library, which is dedicated to supporting mental health. The Central Library even has a homeless and mental health outreach center on the 3rd floor. And the second organization is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. I work with NAMI San Diego and Imperial counties, who provide broad-reaching and powerful support, education, and mental health advocacy for the people of our city. The mental health system has many different components, and so to simplify it for you, I've broken it down into 2 metaphors to provide frameworks on how the system works, and some of the supports and resources available to you. And then if you'd like more details about the resources I mentioned, download the free PDF with clickable links at mystpl.org/mentalhealthsystem. The link is in the video description. The 2 metaphors I've got for you are 1, what building blocks do you need? And 2, where are you? So we can determine the best options for building. It's not one size fits all, and you can customize your setup for you in particular. And it's so worth the effort you put in because you're building something that can allow you to reach for new heights. And you know what? You can actually come out better than you ever were before you went into this thing. It's called post-traumatic growth, and it happened for me. It happens a lot. So this could be the start of something beautiful. But before we get into the building blocks, I want to talk to you about mental health emergencies. So it's right here near the beginning of the video, in case you're in one of these situations. What can you do if your mental health situation is so bad that you might die or badly hurt yourself in the near future? Or if there's a chance you might kill someone else or hurt them? Or if you're struggling so much that you can't do basic things like eat and walk around? Well, those are all reasons to go get support at the hospital. It's a place of healing that will take care of all of your needs while you're there and also help set you up afterwards. You could drive yourself there. There's a list of them on the downloadable PDF. Or you could call 911 or your local law enforcement agency and tell them you're having a psychiatric emergency and see if they can send out a PERT or Psychiatric Emergency Response Team officer. Or another new and awesome option that's less law enforcement-y is the Mobile Crisis Response Team, or MCRT. They have these teams of therapists and case managers and peers who have lived experience that come out and literally meet you where you're at, wherever you are in the county, if you're having a mental health or a substance crisis. You can call them by dialing the Access and Crisis line number. This is also just a good number to have if you're having a hard time and you need someone well-informed to talk to. Once you get to the hospital, they'll help you out there, and if they agree that you're in danger, they'll keep you there till you're good and stable. Life comes first, and so to preserve life, it's good to know that the hospital is an option for you. I've been to psychiatric hospitals 6 times, and I look back in fondness at them now and the connections I built there, even though it was stressful at the time. And so I want you to know that you're not alone. Whether you're going through some of these things or whether your situation is milder, mental health struggles are so common. Like 1 in 3 people experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. It used to be 1 in 5 who had a serious mental health struggle in every given year, and now since COVID, it's even more than that. And so in San Diego alone, that's like 280,000 people every year. You could fill like 6.5 Padres stadiums with us. And that's just in San Diego alone each year. That's a whole community, and we're in this together. And so it's just a matter of time until mental health stigma will belong in a museum of ancient artifacts, and new freedom and authenticity will come to our human experiences. And the good news is there's so much support and hope and healing right here. So yeah, I'm glad that we're exploring this. Thanks for being here. Just know that there's profound support right at your fingertips. and that it's always a good idea to reach out if you're experiencing deep hopelessness, or if you're having extreme mood swings, or doing impulsive or strange things, or if you're hearing and seeing things that others believe aren't there, and especially if you're having suicidal thoughts, or hurting yourself, or threatening to kill or hurt others. So with the emergency section covered, let's explore our first metaphor that helps us understand the San Diego mental health systems of care. If we're going to build up solid mental health, Maslow has a cool model of the hierarchy of needs, a pyramid. I boiled that down to something simpler for you. A pyramid with 3 sides that's resting on a base. Humans are multifaceted beings, and our needs all interconnect. The sides all lean on each other. And our city offers ways to get all of these scaffoldings put in place. A good place to start is by finding out what supply of materials and foundation you already have. So let's start with step 1, and that's connecting to insurance. Because there's 2 buckets of mental health building blocks, one for private insurance and one for medical. For people with private insurance, the best first step is to connect with their primary care doctor, or call the number on the back of their card if they don't have a doctor yet. They'll make the referral and pull all the necessary strings within that system. And then you'll have access to most of the same kinds of building blocks we're going to cover in this video today. Let's just say they're a slightly different color. And if you don't have any insurance, you could go to Covered California to get some. And if your income qualifies, getting connected to Medi-Cal is as simple as calling 211 and asking for an over-the-phone Medi-Cal application. They'll mail out documents to you, you fill in the stuff that they need and send it back. If you want to, you can choose which health plan provider network you want, or they could choose it for you. That provider network is where you'll get your supply of building blocks from. And don't stress too much, you can always change networks later. And you're golden, you got insurance. But even right now, no one can refuse to help you if you don't have insurance. They're not allowed to. Okay, so now that we've done step 1, and that's to know the source of your building blocks, which is decided by your insurance. Now step 2 is to look at what the building blocks are, to see which ones are priorities to put in place. Okay, check it out. One of the building block walls of our wellness pyramid is the biological side. Because us humans are biological beings with flesh and bone and brain. And we've got to make sure that we look after our bodies with food. And if you can't afford good food, you can apply for CalFresh by also calling 211. And we need shelter. And if people are unsheltered, there's ways to find shelter in the resource PDF. The best way to find out who has beds available each night is again by calling that 211 number. Also, there's a place called the C2C Clubhouse downtown that people can just walk into, and they're like a hub of connection opportunities. And they even have warm showers. There's different needs for different peeps, and the PDF is designed to include as many people as possible, because there's resources in there for military and threshold language populations and all sorts as well. So what else is biological? Well, our brain is a super important part of our body, of course, and certain medications can help it get back to optimal functioning. They're prescribed through a psychiatrist, who you'll connect to through your network by calling the number on your insurance card or the phone number of the provider you choose through Medi-Cal. Maybe you're wondering what it's like to see a psychiatrist. Well, it's pretty chill. You'll fill in some paperwork and then have maybe a 45-minute session where they find out what's been going on with you and explore your sleep and your moods and symptoms together. And you'll see whether medications could help you or not. They'll use criteria from a book called the DSM to help align you with things that have helped other people who go through similar things as you. The psychiatrist visits from then onwards are shorter, maybe like 20 minutes or so. Then they submit a prescription and you pick it up either at the in-house pharmacy or at the pharmacy of your choice, like CVS or Rite Aid or whatever, and bam, you got meds. And what do meds feel like? Oh, meds can make all the difference. They can take a while to kick in properly, but I've gone from like dull, comatose state to vibrant energy and crystal clarity because of meds. They don't always have that effect though, and some didn't make me feel good. They numbed me out or they made me sleepy. So it's super important to work with your psychiatrist to tailor-make your prescriptions and dosages so that you're loving how you're feeling, which is very possible, probable even, but sometimes it takes some time and tweaking things a bit to get them just right. It helps to know that it can sometimes be a marathon and not a sprint, but the exercise is going to make you feel so good. Speaking of which, that's another aspect of the body, a source of well-being, exercise and nature and things like this. I know for me, surfing helps my mental health so much. What helps you? But for me, it can sometimes be hard to even remember to do the things that help me, and our minds can become so cloudy and cluttered and complicated that this is where the next piece of the building block of our wellness pyramid comes in, the healing of the mind. See, of course, these sides of the pyramid interconnect, and when you get your biological brain chemistry right, it's easier to think clearer and put feelings in context. But it's super helpful to have a guide to the healing of your psyche through connection to therapy. This can be done by a therapist or a psychologist in your network of care. There's all sorts of different approaches to therapy like CBT and DBT, spiritual counseling, and EMDR for trauma. So you can tell your provider network what preferences you have. You can also find a list that you can add a bunch of handy filters to on Psychology Today's website. And we've also included another resource in the PDF there for you. I went through a couple of therapists before I found the one that I totally clicked with, and he's been super helpful on this journey. I meet with him like once a month for just under an hour, and I so look forward to those sessions. Another part of enriching the mind is education, and you can take classes on mental health skills from NAMI, or provider networks like Kaiser offer them too. This is also an awesome way to connect to community and to learn from the synergy of others. And that's actually the last of our scaffolding pieces right here. Social piece. Us humans are social beings, and actually there have been studies that show that our social connection affects our physical health as much as smoking or blood pressure does. And an hour with a person can save you years worth of book research and headaches. And there are so many mental health communities to tap into around here. There are support groups that deal with specific things like depression and bipolar, schizophrenia, bereavement, addiction. Check the links out on the resource PDF. Some meet on the beach in Encinitas, others in a pizza shop in La Jolla, in churches, mental health centers. Mental health happens all around us in our vibrant San Diegan settings. I've made lifelong friends and opened up all sorts of healing and opportunities by connecting to these communities. And at almost all of them, you can really just be yourself and drop those walls of defense and let the light of camaraderie in. There's also these cool spots for people with lived mental health experience called clubhouses. And these are like hubs that can connect people to a lot of opportunities, like art and jobs and groups, connecting to benefits, musical instruments, and real bargain prices on lunch and coffee sometimes. A lot of the clubhouses also have SSI advocates, and I've found that's one of the best ways to connect to Social Security income benefits. Work can also be a real source of connection, and jobs provide structure and opportunity. There are a bunch of places that help connect us to jobs in San Diego. Work can also add to the depth of meaning in life, which is so important. Because check it out, all of this is rested on a foundation of meaning and purpose. And it's a mirror, it reflects you. We're biopsychosocial spiritual beings, and tapping into some bigger stories that help to put our little stories in context can really help to bring us perspective and hope. For some people, it could be their children who are their meaning and purpose. For my one buddy, it's his app development hustle. For me, it's the story that God's weaving together. San Diego has some cool programs that link mental health and faith, and things like nature, family, education, and service to others are all things that lift people's spirits and bring color and meaning to life. So those are the main categories of the building blocks that San Diego's mental health systems of care can help us to put into place, so we build a life of thriving. And where you're at right now is the perfect place to start. So where are you? Which of the things we've been talking about are priorities for you to put in place? San Diego has systems established that help us assemble these aspects of our lives, no matter where you're starting from. So let me use a second metaphor here, where we are, to describe how you could go about connecting to some of these systems. San Diego is so diverse, literally and metaphorically, and people are in so many different environments. Let's say you were in the metaphorical desert of San Diego, and you felt alone and disconnected. Well, you could follow the links on the resource PDF to find the support groups and centers of meaning and purpose, and the job connection systems that we've spoken about. Or if you were lost and wounded in the metaphorical forest, trying to find your way and feeling disoriented, You could find a therapist to guide you to freedom and healing. Also, if you're lost, the San Diego mental health system of care has these teams in place that can help you. There are case management programs which will help assemble your scaffolding for you. They'll manage your case and connect you to all sorts of social services, transport, psychiatrists, therapists, the works. For most of these programs to qualify, you just have to have a mental health diagnosis that's interfering with your life at the moment. Or what if you're drowning in the open ocean and you need urgent support today? Firstly, there's zero shame in being out in the open seas. In fact, that's where many of history's geniuses and spiritual masters found themselves. We've just got to get you a boat that can pick you up and carry you to the destination of your choice. And in the process, you'll also learn how to swim, which is going to make this whole thing easier in the future. Okay, first off, there's always the option to go to the hospital like we spoke about, and you could get there yourself, call 911 or MCRT. And then once you're there, in some of them, there's programs like Next Steps right there in the hospital who can help you transition back to life afterwards. There are mental health urgent care walk-in centers where you can get meds on the same day, and they're on the resource map. And then they'll also help to connect you to ongoing psychiatrists afterwards. There are also other options for crisis situations like crisis stabilization units, where you can walk into and get help in a healing setting for up to 24 hours, and they'll help you get set up afterwards too. And there are longer term options like crisis homes that you can stay in all around the county, where you can stay for a week or more while you get stabilized. These can be places to catch your breath after swallowing water out at sea. And then lastly, if you're on the water's edge and you just need a space to catch your breath, there are teams of people who can help you get set up permanently and help you get to your feet. One of these is the Assertive Community Treatment or ACT programs, which typically come with accommodation that's shared and all other aspects of the wellness pyramid too. There are also boarding cares that you can get long-term supported living at, and independent living places that accommodate people with mental health challenges. And for people with disabilities or older adults, there's even in-home supportive services, where caregivers can get paid to provide in-home support. If you'd like to create your own mental health package, some people choose to live at home and continue with their regular lives and construct their own routine of mental health support. This is called outpatient treatment, and people can choose to do things like going for therapy once a month and have psychiatrist appointments every 3 months and connect to weekly support groups to fill their cups on an ongoing basis. You'll configure that with your provider network that your insurance links you up with. There are also intensive outpatient programs or IOPs, where you still live at home, but you go in several days a week for a few hours at a time to really maximize your progress. And then what about substance use? Substance use is so common in people with mental health conditions. And the system is really integrating the two things and treating them together more and more. If you need a medical detox from things like heavy alcoholism or heroin, there's places on the map for that. And there are also outpatient programs that specialize in this, and a bunch of support groups that have programs like 12-step ones that help a lot with addictions. Some that meet for beach bonfires, others that meet in Buddhist monasteries, others downtown. Decades of experience has proven that these approaches work, and you could have a better life clean than you could even imagine. There's also natural mental health treatments too, and a wide variety of homeopathic remedies. Nature and self-care activities you enjoy can be some of the best medicines. Laughter, right? They say laughter is the best medicine. Sports, martial arts, hobbies, all so good. As you navigate this season in your life, NAMI and the library are here to help. Download the resource list from this video by going to mysdpl.org/mental health system. You can also download the free app that NAMI has called Oscar, which is rich with helpful guides. You're not alone, and you're in a city that's saturated with resources and people who care. Your life matters to us, it matters to me, and I so appreciate you spending time with me today. May your time yield rich fruit and allow you to build a wellness pyramid that you're thrilled to live in, and which can take you to all new heights.